You've seen the shadow inside yourself. But what happens when the shadows of millions begin to weave together? They build a society that looks awake, but is half asleep, productive yet purposeless, connected yet profoundly alone. Every unhealed wound doesn't vanish. It becomes architecture. It shapes culture, economy, politics, entertainment. A world built on avoidance. We glorify speed because we fear stillness. We glorify success because we fear insignificance. We chase comfort because we fear our own thoughts. And beneath the glow of screens and the noise of achievement, the collective unconscious hums. Restless, hungry, unacknowledged. We think we are progressing, but perhaps we are only perfecting our distractions. Carl Jung warned that when the individual avoids the shadow, the darkness doesn't disappear. It expands outward, into the world, taking form as ideology, fanaticism, collective hysteria. Look around. Our politics are not just disagreements. They are projections of our inner conflicts. Our obsession with consumption is not about abundance but emptiness. Our worship of youth and pleasure, a denial of death and aging, the inevitability of loss. When a culture refuses to face its own unconscious, it becomes possessed by it. You can see it in the way people live, always busy yet deeply unsatisfied, chasing love yet terrified of intimacy, addicted to stimulation yet starving for meaning. We tell ourselves we are free, but most of us are ruled by invisible compulsions, algorithms that know our desires better than we do, and fears that we inherited without question. We call it the modern world, but perhaps it is simply the unconscious, digitized. And within this great machinery, your personal patterns find fuel, because the system thrives on repetition, endless cycles of craving and relief, dopamine and despair. You don't just repeat your mistakes, you are rewarded for them. Society sells you the illusion of healing, self-improvement without self-confrontation, spirituality without shadow, pleasure without purpose. It tells you that happiness can be bought, that peace is a product, that meaning can be streamed in high definition. And you believe it, because it's easier than silence. Silence is dangerous. In silence, you begin to hear yourself again. There's a reason so many people fear being alone. When the noise fades, the unconscious begins to speak. The guilt surfaces, the sadness breathes, the truth whispers. Most people mistake this for loneliness, but it is actually the beginning of integration. That's why the world is built to keep you distracted. The moment you stop scrolling, consuming, performing, you might start remembering who you are. And this isn't just psychological, it's biological. The brain itself repeats what it knows. Neural pathways carved by trauma become highways of habit. You feel drawn to what is familiar, even when it hurts. That's why you chase the same relationships, repeat the same emotional scripts, sabotage your peace when life gets calm. Because to the unconscious, familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace. Your nervous system is addicted to what it understands, and it understands suffering. But here's the cruel irony. The more you avoid your pain, the more you recreate it. What you suppress internally becomes what you attract externally. The unloved child becomes the adult chasing validation. The silenced voice becomes the people pleaser who can't say no. The repressed anger becomes the person who attracts those who provoke it. And so the cycle continues, not because you deserve it, but because you have not yet seen it clearly enough to end it. You're not cursed, you're conditioned. Conditioned by repetition, reinforced by society, and numbed by distraction. Jung once described modern man as possessed by reason. We live in the illusion that logic can save us, that intellect can outthink emotion. But emotion doesn't vanish under analysis. It hides deeper. It becomes mood, instinct, projection, illness. You can't think your way out of the unconscious. You must feel your way through it. And that is where the world resists, because feeling is chaos. Feeling is unpredictable. Feeling cannot be monetized. Feeling threatens control. So instead, we live from the neck up, heads full of knowledge, hearts full of emptiness. We are afraid of our own depths, so we create a culture of surfaces. Influence without introspection, desire without devotion, noise without meaning. We scroll through curated lives, and compare our shadows to their illusions of light. We project perfection outward, while disowning the chaos within, and slowly, we lose the ability to tell which is real, the world outside, or the one screaming for attention within. This is the unseen consequence, a collective trance of avoidance. Millions of individuals, each running from their own pain, each contributing to a culture built on the denial of the soul. We have technology that can simulate reality, but no courage to face the one inside our minds. We have freedom of choice, but no awareness of what drives our choices. We've conquered the material world, but remain strangers to our own inner one. And yet, in the cracks of that illusion, something ancient still calls. A quiet voice that says, "This isn't all there is." It speaks in the moments when you can't distract yourself anymore. When you wake at 3 a.m. and feel the emptiness pressing on your chest. When you realize that every achievement feels hollow. That every pleasure fades too quickly. That every escape brings you right back to yourself. That voice is your unconscious, no longer whispering, but pleading. It's asking not for more success, but for wholeness. Not for more pleasure, but for truth. Not for escape, but for return. And maybe this is the real crisis of our age. Not political, not technological, but spiritual. We are a civilization that has forgotten how to descend. We want light without shadow, growth without grief, rebirth without death. But until we learn to go down, to face the darkness within us and within our world, we will keep rising toward nothing. You cannot change what you refuse to see, and you cannot awaken while living inside the dream. So if you truly want to stop repeating the same mistakes, you must first wake up from the world that normalizes them. Only then can you begin to rebel, not against society, but against the unconscious within you, that society itself was built to protect.